Everyone tells you Sensex give higher return than Nifty. I checked the real numbers going all the way back to 1979, and what I found will change how you invest, and no matter which country you are watching from. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm just someone who just got tired of people arguing this about in a real life without actually checking the real data. So today I'm just covering everything you need to know. The real historical number with real graph. Why Sensex look like the winner and why that's a trick of dates. And which one is actually more risky using real crash data and the real cost differences, expenses ratio in rupee, and a real 5,000 a month SIP example so you can see actual money. And finally, what you should do whether you are in India or investing from abroad. So stay till the end because point number 5 is the one that actually affects your bank balance. Before the numbers, let's keep this simple. Imagine your school has two lists of top students. First is Sensex. Sensex is the top 30 list, the 30 biggest, oldest, most solid companies listed on the Bombay Stock Exchange BSE. Think Reliance, HDFC, TCS or Infosys. And second, Nifty 50. Nifty 50 is the top 50 list, same idea but from the National Stock Exchange NSE, and it includes 20 more companies on the top of most of those same 30. And here is something most people don't realize. 25 to 28 of Sensex 30 companies are also sitting inside the Nifty 50. So you are not comparing two different baskets of fruit, you are comparing a fruit basket with 30 fruit to almost the same basket with 20 extra fruit added. Now the numbers. Sensex was born in 1979 and Nifty was born in 1995. So 16 years later, if you measure both from the day they were born till today, so Sensex has grown about 15.4% every year on average since 1979, and Nifty has grown at about 10.6% every year on average since 1995. So that's almost the 5% yearly gap. So on graph, this gap looks very huge. This is the number people screenshot and post online to prove Sensex is the better index, but that's a catch nobody mentioned. And once you understand it, the whole argument falls apart. The gap isn't because Sensex performs better, but it is because of something much simpler: a head start. Just take a picture of two runners in the same marathon. Runner A starts 16 km ahead of runner B. At the finish line, you check total distance covered and you announce runner A is amazing. And look how far he went. But the runner A didn't run faster, he just started 16 km earlier. That is exactly what is happening with these two indices. Sensex extra 16 year include the entire decade of the 1980s, a golden period for the Indian stock market before India even opened up its economy in 1991. So Nifty simply wasn't born yet, so it missed the entire boom. So when someone says Sensex beats Nifty by 5% a year, what they are really measuring is who started the race earlier, not who ran faster. So what happened when we compare them fairly? Same time period, same rules, and including dividends companies pay out. This is called Total Return Index or TRI. It counts the actual cash you would receive as a shareholder, not just the price on the screen. Over the last 20 years using TRI, Nifty 50 has returned around 12.4% per year, and Sensex over that same recent window land in the very similar range, and sometimes even below Nifty, depending on the exact period you are picking. The honest, boring, unglamorous truth is this: the difference between them over any fair comparable period is tiny. So if you invested in the Nifty 50 fund or a Sensex fund 10 years ago, your money grew at almost the same speed. One more interesting number: since Nifty's 20-year rolling return actually dipped below 10% recently, only the second time that's happened in Nifty's 30-year history. Some people panicked online saying Nifty is dying, but it is not. Every time this has happened before, it was followed by a period of above average return because market tend to normalize. And this isn't a prediction, it's just for the historical pattern source. Returns are only half the story, but the other half is risk. how much your money shakes up and down along the way, and this matters a lot if you are someone who panics and sell during a crash, because Nifty holds 50 companies across more sectors: banking, IT, energy, pharma, FMCG, or autos. It spread its risk wider. If banking has a bad month but IT does great, Nifty absorbs the shocks better. But Sensex, with only 30 companies and less sector spread, tends to swing slider more sharply in both directions, bigger up but also slightly bigger down. Just think of it like this: Nifty is a bigger, heavier shape, it rocks less in a storm, but Sensex is a slightly smaller, faster boat, but it can move quicker. Also, it tips more. During the 2008 financial crisis and the 2020 COVID crash, both indices fell hard. Nobody escaped that, but Nifty's broader diversification generally means lighter, smoother recoveries. Again, the difference is small, not dramatic, but don't choose an index purely on this. Here is something most YouTube videos skip completely. You can't actually invest in an index. Nifty 50 and Sensex are just a number tracker, like a scoreboard. To actually put your money in, you buy an index fund or an ETF that copies the index. And here is where the real money is won or lost: the expense ratio. This is the yearly fees that fund charges you to manage your money. In 2026, the best Nifty 50 and Sensex ETF charges as little as 0.02% to 0.05% per year. This is less than 5 rupees for every 10,000 you invest per year. That is incredibly cheap. Regular index funds, the one you buy through an app with SIP, usually charges a bit more, around 0.1% to 0.2%. if you pick the direct plan. But here's the trap: if you buy the regular plan through a broker or advisor instead of the direct plan, your expense ratio can jump much higher, sometimes 1% or more, because it includes a hidden commission. Over 20 years, that difference alone can cost you lakhs of rupees. And this matters more than the Nifty versus Sensex debate ever will. Let's make this real, not percentage, actual rupees. Say you start a 5,000 per month SIP, a fixed monthly investment in a Nifty 50 index fund, and you keep going for 10 years, assuming a realistic long-term average return of around 12% per year, including dividend. Your total money put in over 10 years equal to 6 lakh. Your fund value at the end roughly is 11.5 to 12 lakhs, almost double what you put in purely from compounding. Now here's the interesting part: if you would done the exact same 5,000 SIP in a Sensex index fund instead, assuming it's a comparable recent return also lands close to 12%, your final number would be within a few thousand rupees of Nifty 50 number. Not double, not half, but just close. But now watch what happen if you would start the SIP 5 years earlier instead of picking the perfect index. Same 5,000 a month, but for 15 years instead of 10, at the same 12%. And your total invested is 9 lakh, but your fund value grow to roughly 25 lakhs. Starting earlier did more for your wealth than any index picking decision ever could. If you are watching this from outside India, first welcome. I know a good chunk of my audience invested from abroad, and a few extra things matter for you specifically. Sensex is generally the most globally recognized name, and it is often the one mentioned in international news headline about the Indian market. NRIs typically access Indian index fund through NRE or NRO account, or through India's focused ETF listed on foreign exchange, or via India dedicated fund available in your own country. Currencies matters too. If the rupee weaken against your home currency, it can eat into your real return, even the index is moving or goes up. This is a separate risk on the top of the Nifty versus Sensex question, and honestly deserve its own full video. And the tax treatment for a capital gain also differ by country and by how you are structured as an investor. This is not something I can generalize in one video, so please check with a tax professional in your own country before investing. But the core lesson from today applies to you exactly the same way. The Nifty versus Sensex choice barely moves the needle, so starting early and staying consistent does. So after all this data, which one you should actually pick? If you want slightly broader exposure across more sector and slightly smoother ride during crashes, Nifty 50 gives you that edge, since it is hold 50 stock instead of 30, And if you want a more globally recognized benchmark name, it's especially useful if you are explaining your portfolio to someone outside India, then Sensex works fine too. But since 25 plus of its company overlap with Nifty anyway. But here is the sentence I want you to actually remember from this entire video. For a long-term investor, choosing between Nifty and Sensex matters way less than these three others think. First, how early you start investing. Second, how consistently you invest month after month, crash or no crash. Third, how low your expense ratio is. Always choose the direct plan. Nifty versus Sensex debate is mostly a distraction from what actually builds wealth. The runner who start early, keep running and doesn't pay unnecessary fees always win the race. If this actually cleared up a confusion you have had for years, hit subscribe button. I break down real investing questions like this every week with real data, no jargon, no hype, no stock tips. And comment early if you are starting or restarting your investing journey this year. I read and reply to every single comment. And thank you from Market Detective 360.